in the Messiah, which is Jesus. And so, will you destroy the righteous, even though Lot was not living a righteous life, but he was still, in the eyes of God, righteous because he had accepted God's righteousness? Are you going to destroy the righteous with the wicked? Peradventure, or perhaps, Abraham says to the Lord, there be 50 righteous within the city. I wonder why he came up with that number. It probably sounds like enough for the Lord not to destroy the city, maybe. Wilt thou also destroy and not spare the place for 50 righteous that are therein? Now I wonder why he didn't just say, well, why can't you just pull out the righteous, right? I think he was looking out for Lot's best interest and Lot's personal property. Is it good to negotiate with God? Is it good to argue with God? Well, I don't know if it's good or not, but this is what he did, and God actually does acquiesce. He does listen to Abraham. Abraham says that, be far from thee to do after this manner, to slay the righteous with the wicked, and the righteous should be as the wicked. And be far from thee, shall not the judge of all the earth do right? And it's not like his argument won the Lord over to this, but the Lord does listen. The Lord does want to know our heart. The Lord, if you're walking with him, there's no problem with these kind of conversations. And don't try to act like everything's perfect in your life with the Lord. You might act like that in church if I come up to you and say, how you doing? Everything's great. But you know everything's not great, right? Nobody has that life. We all have struggles, human struggles. But be honest with the Lord at least, right? Talk to him honestly because he knows already, right? And so here, this is the conversation Abraham is having, again, I think as an intercessor, just as Christ does for us all the time. The Lord said, if I find in Sodom 50 righteous within the city, then I will spare all the place for their sakes. Wow. Abraham, I don't know if he was stunned, surprised. That actually worked. It actually worked. So then Abraham, he wants to go a little further with this. He says, behold now, I have taken upon me to speak unto the Lord, which am but dust and ashes. Remember, when you talk to God, that's what you are. Okay, folks, that's what we are. Don't get all proud and haughty, because who are we? Who are we? We're dust and ashes. But he says, perhaps peradventure there shall lack 5 of the 50 righteous. Will thou destroy all the city for lack of 5? And he said, if I find there 40 and 5, I will not destroy it. So they went on, went down to 30, went down to 20, went down to 10. I think Abraham thought, surely there has to be 10 people that are righteous in Sodom. There weren't. Why did Lot move there? Why did Lot go there? And the Lord went his way as soon as he had left communing with Abraham, and Abraham returned unto his place. Well, the Lord leaves, doesn't go to Sodom, goes back to glory, goes back to heaven. Abraham returns to his tent there in memory. Genesis 19:1, we turn the chapter. There came also 2 angels to Sodom at even. So this is nighttime, or in the evening. And Lot sat in the gate of Sodom. Now, let's stop there for 1 second. Sodom, like every Middle Eastern city at that time, had city walls and city gates. If you have a wall, you need a gate, right, to get in. And when they do archaeology, they always find the massive walls around these cities. And they can tell by the style of building, the size of the walls, the styles of the gates, what civilization built it. And so Lot sitting in the gate isn't just he's near the entrance of the city. It actually means that he is part of the commerce or the judgment of the city. He's not just a resident of Sodom. He's actually someone that's in a high position. He's sitting in the gate of Sodom. So not only should he have not gone down into that area in the first place because of the sin and the potential that would drag his family into a life of carnality, often people don't even think about that when they make life decisions. Should I take this job or should I move here? Do you consider the spiritual ramifications of what you're doing? Do you think about that? You should. He didn't. He moved towards Sodom. Eventually, he's living in Sodom. He's part of the leadership of the city where there's not even 10 righteous. It's a place that was not going to be conducive to a life of faith. There are certain places that are so wicked, and this is one of them. And these two angels come in, and Lot sees them. He rose up to meet them. He bowed himself and his face toward the ground, and he was acting hospitable. This is the way Abraham was acting. This is the way that people would act, except the people of Sodom, the Bible says later, were not. And he said, behold, now my lords, turn in, I pray you, into your servant's house, and tarry all night, and wash your feet, and you shall rise up early and go your ways. And they said, no, nay, but we will abide in the street all night. Now, Lot immediately knows that that's not good. You cannot leave two people unprotected outside all night without them being molested. And he knows that. So he's encouraging them. He's pressing upon them greatly. And they turned in unto him and entered into his house. And he made them a feast and did bake unleavened bread, and they did eat. But before they lay down, the men of the city, even the men of Sodom, compassed the house round. So now the people of the city have heard that there are two men that have come, and they want to know them, as we're going to read in a second. They compassed the house round, both old and young, all the people from every quarter, and they called unto Lot and said unto him, where are the men which came in to thee this night? Bring them out unto us that we may know them. That's a euphemism. It's a polite way of saying that they wanted to have sexual relations with them. Even the NIV actually says that in their translation. So what was the sin of Sodom? Well, I think unless you're trying to argue that you can be a homosexual and it's okay with God, then you're going to see the sin of Sodom is sodomy. That's where we get the name. It's homosexuality. And we'll talk much more about this tomorrow. Very, very important that America understands this, and really the whole world. I was in Israel, and one of our guides said, if Sodom and Gomorrah existed, that's where it would have been. And I took the mic and said, Sodom and Gomorrah existed, and that's where it used to be. So this is true. It did happen. It happened because primarily homosexuality, and homosexuality will lead to many, many other sins. It's one of the chief of the sexual sins, but all sins are wrong. All sins are us missing the mark of God's perfection. We are all sinners. We need to all be saved. But let's not sugarcoat anything. Let's say it exactly as God did. Now, right before we go, let me tell you about some beautiful Christmas items you can only get from us here at InGrace. We have beautiful Christmas cards, 5 different cards. We're going to give you 2 of each. The gospel is on each of these. I would like to send you these 10 Christmas cards. When you make a gift of any amount to InGrace, your gift will be doubled right now during our matching gift challenge, and you're going to get these beautiful Christmas cards in the mail. We'll get them right out to you. Also, we have a beautiful set of olive wood ornaments, 10 different olive wood ornaments from Bethlehem for your gift of $35 or more. And yes, we'll send you the cards as well. And then for your gift of $100 or more, we'll also send you a beautiful olive wood music box nativity. And this was made in Bethlehem as well. Give us a call today, 1-800-78-GRACE or ingraceradio.com.
With a gift of any amount to InGrace this Christmas, you'll receive 10 beautiful Christmas cards with original artwork, Bible verses, and the gospel. When you give $35 or more, you'll receive the cards plus 10 authentic olive wood ornaments, handcrafted in Bethlehem. And when you give $100 or more, we will add a gorgeous olive wood nativity scene from Bethlehem. And thanks to a generous donor, every gift you make will be doubled for the rest of 2024. Don't miss out. Call 800-78-GRACE or go to InGraceRadio.com. Thank you for joining us on InGrace Radio with Jim Scudder. InGrace is a member of the Evangelical Council for Financial Accountability. Our goal is to share the light of Jesus to this darkening world, helping you find hope, gain purpose, and be a light. You can be that light today by joining our mission to spread the gospel around the world. Just call 800-78-GRACE or go to InGraceRadio.com. You can also write to InGrace at P.O. Box 9, Lake Zurich, Illinois, 60047. Tune in tomorrow as we continue to explore growth on InGrace.
90.5 KTXG Greenville, Dallas.
State employee, you have the opportunity to support the American Family Association through the combined federal campaign by designating a monthly payroll deduction using 12037. You help AFA continue to fight for your family. So when you complete your CFC form, remember, AFA's number is 12037. And thank you for your help.
This is American Family Radio, a listener-supported ministry of the American Family Association.
American Family News, I'm Rusty Pugh. President-elect Donald Trump's nominee for Defense Secretary is back on Capitol Hill, meeting with lawmakers. Chad Pergram reports from Capitol Hill.
Pete Hegseth was meeting with Bill Cassidy, Republican from Louisiana. He's now in this office with Susan Collins, a Republican of Maine. She is one of the swing votes on all nominations. He met with another swing vote yesterday, Lisa Murkowski, and this is what Hegseth had to say earlier this morning.
This is how we're feeling right here. Feeling great. Fight for the country, fight for our country.
Collins is one of the most senior members of the Senate. She has questions for Hegseth about sexual assault in the military and money for Ukraine. Collins will lead the Senate Appropriations Committee, which doles out the money next year. Hegseth also talked yesterday with another swing vote, Lisa Murkowski of Alaska.
The House Foreign Affairs Committee is holding a hearing to evaluate the August 2021 U.S. withdrawal from Afghanistan. In his opening statements, Chairman Michael McCall of Texas said why he thinks the hearing is so important.
I also have a responsibility to the American people and to the 13 servicemen and women who died and all the many other service members who died and the Afghan allies left behind who died and the women who were left behind.
Firefighters in California continue to try and contain a wildfire that broke out near Malibu this week. William Lajeunesse reports from Malibu.
Malibu's been remarkably fortunate here. Weather is getting better every hour. The winds are down to virtually nothing. Humidity is up. And get this, this is the only major fire right now burning in the United States. As a consequence, we have 1,400 firefighters for a fire that is about 4,000 acres. In wildfire speak, that's relatively small. However, we're not out of the woods yet. This is now about 7% contained, but so far moderate damage. No injuries or fatalities. 7 structures destroyed, 9 damaged.
Lawmakers continue to investigate the multiple mysterious drone sightings spotted over New Jersey. Nate Foy reports.
There's no answer. The FBI said yesterday they've received more than 3,000 tips and they're analyzing images that are coming in. But after 3 weeks of near nightly drone appearances in New York and New Jersey, they still cannot connect it to any individual or group. And U.S. drone technology and the limitations of tracking drones and defending against them was a key topic during that hearing on Capitol Hill yesterday with New York Congressman Anthony D'Esposito saying essentially that it's ridiculous that we still can't figure this out. Governor Phil Murphy is hosting 2 briefings with New Jersey legislators and mayors.
Meanwhile, a national defense analyst and Pentagon strategist cannot understand why the drones flying over New Jersey have not been shot down.
New Jersey authorities continue to demand answers, as dozens of drones have been spotted across the state in recent weeks, including near sensitive sites such as a military research facility. And the Coast Guard reported that one of their ships was trailed very closely by more than a dozen drones. And most, but not all of these drones spotted in New Jersey have been larger than the ones typically used by hobbyists. The White House has refused to comment on the matter. Bob McGinnis, a senior fellow for National Security at the Family Research Council.
Oh, okay.
He cannot understand.
You speak Spanish?
Sí.
Oh, you understand Spanish?
We shoot down drones all the time. The
Merry
technology
Christmas.
that we've developed over the years, we're
Yeah.
doing hundreds of
It's
drones
a radio.
in short periods of time
You can
over
listen.
Ukraine, and it's using technologies that we have.
McGinnis says defense establishments around the world all know how to do counter-drone operations.
You can track those things on radar. You should know where they take off and where they land. They only have so much loader time, so it's not as if they can stay above those communities for days on end. They have to come up and they go back down. So it makes no sense to me, quite frankly.
And McGinnis says they're easy to shoot down.
You don't have to use lead. You can use electronic beams. You can confuse them, and then all of a sudden they're just down on the ground.
Because
We have the means to do that. Maybe the people in New Jersey just don't know what technologies we have.
I'm Chad Groening.
Consumer prices rose 2.7% in November earlier, up from a yearly figure of 2.6% in October. For American Family News, I'm Rusty P.
To share, please visit afr.net/PSA and follow the instructions there. We must receive your PSA request form at least 2 weeks in advance of your event, and the more complete your information, the better we can make your announcement. We do this because it really serves our interest, and we want to help. So let us know how at afr.net/PSA. Thanks.
Is not unique to us. We often ask on the program, what is the top news story to God? And it's very difficult to think like God. We can consult his word. We can spend time in prayer. We can ask the Holy Spirit to magnify, for us to reduce. We can spend time around Christians more mature than we. And we can compare all spirits to what God says, because God